Has your beloved mother, father, or grandfather been going through changes over the past year that seem unusual, yet you can't quite put your finger on them? Most of us believe that death comes suddenly in old age, and while there's truth to that, the reality is different. The human body often gives clear signs of its final journey, sometimes even a year in advance. Sadly, these signs are so subtle and gradual that we often mistake them for normal aging. It's only after the family has been left behind months later that they look back and think, if only we had understood sooner. In this video, we'll discuss 5 key signs that usually appear around a year before an elderly person begins their final journey. Some of these might already be familiar to you. Perhaps you're thinking, yes, my father shows those signs too. Others are more subtle, and only those who pay close attention can notice them with sorrow and understanding. Recognizing these signs early not only ensures better care, but also makes the remaining time more meaningful. It allows your loved one to spend their final days in peace rather than pain, and with confidence, not fear. These 5 signs will help you prepare emotionally, mentally, and practically for what lies ahead. Because knowing means not being caught off guard. It means recognizing the true value of the time that remains. Let's begin. First sign, quietly fading away. One of the earliest and most noticeable signs that someone is nearing the final stage of life is when they begin to lose strength, often without realizing it. At first, this change is easy to overlook. The belt needs to be tightened a little more. Old shirts begin to hang loosely, and more food is left on the plate due to a loss of appetite. Many families brush this off with a simple, "We're just getting older. It's normal." But the reality is that unexplained weight loss is a serious warning from the body. In such cases, it usually means the body can no longer process nutrients like it once did, struggles to absorb vitamins and minerals, muscle tissue is silently deteriorating, and essential systems are gradually breaking down. While muscle loss is a natural part of aging, if it happens more quickly than expected, there may be a deeper, more concerning issue at play. Another important aspect, often overlooked, is the reaction of family members. When most families notice this change, their initial response is typically something like, "Eat a little more, Mom." "You need to be strong, Dad." But rather than encouraging a positive change, this approach can put additional physical and emotional pressure on the person affected. The elderly individual, feeling helpless in the face of what's happening, may start to blame themselves, thinking, "Why can't I eat like I used to?" Meanwhile, the family, unable to find a solution, becomes consumed with worry, asking, "What are we going to do?" At this stage, the body may no longer be able to process food the way it once did, struggle to break down proteins effectively, and muscle tissue may be quietly wasting away. Contrary to common belief, this loss of strength doesn't just make movement harder, it also raises the risk of falls, weakens the immune system, and significantly increases vulnerability to infections. It's also crucial to recognize how family communication changes during this time. As the situation progresses, different approaches naturally emerge among family members. Some might suggest, "Let's take them to the doctor," while others might say, "They're old enough now." These differing views can create tension within the family, even when it's unintentional, making the person experiencing this change feel even more isolated. Elderly individuals, especially those struggling with loss of appetite, often withdraw when asked, "Why aren't you eating?" during family meals. Unable to explain what they're going through, their connection with others begins to fade. One of the main reasons for weight loss in the final stages of life is changes in appetite. Many elderly individuals simply don't feel hungry like they used to. Their sense of taste dulls, food loses its appeal, meals get skipped, or they eat only small amounts. This isn't just a matter of preference, it's a physiological change in the body. The body recognizes that it's preparing to shut down, and it stops sending mealtime signals to the brain as often as it once did. The impact of underlying illnesses on the family weight loss can often be one of the first signs of chronic illnesses such as cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease. These conditions start to develop long before more noticeable symptoms appear. Mental health issues like depression or cognitive decline can also play a significant role in the loss of appetite. At this stage, family members often find themselves feeling anxious and helpless, torn between the belief that we must do something and the thought that perhaps this is just a natural part of aging. Solutions sought within the family and the reality. When faced with this challenging situation, many families' first instinct is to try and get their loved one to eat more. They prepare their favorite meals, buy protein powders, and offer vitamin supplements, hoping to help in any way they can. At first, this is all they feel they can do. Mothers, spouses, and children come together, almost as if in a race, pleading just one more spoonful. However, despite all these well-intentioned efforts, when weight loss continues, feelings of guilt and helplessness begin to surface among family members, especially as they reach the final stage. The most important thing to understand at this stage is that the issue goes beyond nutrition. It may involve other underlying conditions as well. The body is preparing for a deeper transition, a physiological change that it cannot overcome, no matter how hard it tries. Contrary to popular belief, forcing large meals might not help and could even create unnecessary pressure on your loved one. Instead, focusing on foods and liquids that are easy to consume and swallow will provide the most relief, both physically and emotionally. If you notice significant weight loss, decreased appetite, increased weakness, or unexpected difficulty with daily activities, it's time to recognize the seriousness of the situation and approach it differently. These changes aren't just about appearance. They are the body's way of sending its most important message. Understanding this message now gives you the best chance to move forward with clarity, compassion, and the ability to truly appreciate each remaining moment. Second sign, the soul tires before the body. One of the most noticeable changes when entering the final stage of life is a deep, persistent fatigue that doesn't go away with rest, even when it comes unexpectedly. This type of tiredness is different from the normal exhaustion felt after a long day. It's a profound weariness that reaches down to the bones and doesn't fade, even with sleep. Even the simplest tasks can start to feel impossible. Getting out of bed becomes a struggle. Walking across the room takes more effort than before, and activities that were once routine, like preparing meals, getting dressed, or even talking on the phone, become overwhelming. This is not just a natural part of aging. It's a clear sign that the body is trying to conserve all of its remaining energy. Changes in family dynamics. During this time, family members naturally respond in different ways. Some might say, if you move, you'll get stronger, while others try to downplay the situation, saying, it's normal that the doctor didn't find anything. However, for the person going through it, these responses can leave them feeling misunderstood in a painful way. When they hear comments like, you've become lazy, which they don't deserve, they feel a deep sadness, reflecting on how active they used to be. As the body progresses, organ functions begin to slow down more than they should. The body automatically prioritizes vital functions, and as a result, the heart no longer pumps as strongly. Blood circulation weakens, and muscles struggle to get the oxygen they need. This leads many elderly individuals to feel weak and unbalanced, as though they are floating in the air. Approaching their final years, they can no longer do the activities they once enjoyed and found easy to perform. Reflections of metabolic change on the family. The body is naturally designed to produce and use energy, but as it prepares for its final stage, that energy is redirected to maintaining vital functions rather than supporting movement. As a result, the person begins to sleep more, requiring long naps during the day and staying awake for extended periods becomes increasingly difficult. When family members notice this, they often become concerned, discussing among themselves, "They're sleeping so much, is this normal?" Some elderly individuals experience sudden, unexpected drops in energy. They may seem fine in the morning, but become completely exhausted by the afternoon. These abrupt changes can surprise family members, causing them to wonder, "They were fine just a moment ago. What's happening?" The impact of emotional breakdown on family ties. You may not believe it, but perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this process is the emotional aspect of fatigue. Many elderly people who once took great pride in their independence and freedom and who helped everyone around them now experience deep disappointment and shame because they can no longer do these things as they once did. They begin to withdraw from family gatherings, avoid social events, or even give up hobbies they've enjoyed for years, not because they no longer care, but because sadly, they no longer have the energy to pursue them. The reflections of loneliness within the family. This can turn into a destructive cycle, causing them to withdraw even more, no matter how much we, as their loved ones, may wish to change that. Even though we don't want to believe it, elderly individuals who were once very active may stop making any effort at all, and this only speeds up their decline. For the family, watching their loved ones shift from being active and engaged to becoming tired and withdrawn, while feeling powerless to do anything about it, is truly heartbreaking. Unfortunately, most family members often misinterpret this situation. Thoughts like, they've become lazy, they've let themselves go, or if they just tried a little harder, they'd get better, only make the situation harder. The truth is that constantly pushing them to do things they no longer want to do and that are difficult for them only increases their exhaustion. At this stage, the most important approach is to understand and respect their limits, allowing them to rest and focusing on helping them spend their remaining days as peacefully as possible is the most valuable thing you can do. The importance of family communication during this period. During this time, family members may unintentionally find themselves arguing about what to do. Some might say, "Let's take them to the doctor." Others might suggest, "Let's have them exercise." And still others might feel they should simply let them rest. These differing opinions can create tension within the family. What's truly needed is an empathetic and understanding approach. If your loved one is chronically and deeply exhausted even after resting, this should be seen as a sign that their body is undergoing an irreversible and significant transformation. This period offers a chance to cherish meaningful conversations, create peaceful moments, and, above all, be there for them with unconditional love. Ultimately, what matters most to them isn't how active they can be, but feeling the love of their family, knowing they are accepted, and finding peace. If you continue to follow this content and find the perspectives we share meaningful, please leave a comment sharing your own experiences or those of a close relative who has gone through a similar situation. Remember, happiness multiplies when shared and sorrow lightens when shared. Now, let's return to our topic. Third point, increased mental confusion and social withdrawal. As a person approaches the end of their life, one of the most noticeable changes is in their reasoning, communication, and connection with the world around them. People who were once mentally sharp, active, and engaged may become more forgetful, struggle to follow conversations, or appear confused even in familiar surroundings. They may start repeating themselves, mix up names, and most notably, experience problems with their sense of time, even if they've never had memory issues before. These subtle mental changes can appear months or even up to a year before the end of life. It's important to understand that these aren't just everyday lapses in memory. Like all other organs, the brain requires a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients to function properly. As blood circulation weakens and the amount of oxygen reaching the brain decreases, mental functions begin to decline, even if it's not immediately obvious. The individual may easily become confused, have difficulty making decisions, or struggle to recognize people and places they've known for years due to the nature of this process. At times, moments of sudden clarity may quickly fade into periods of mental confusion, as if the mind is present one moment and absent the next. Another common sign in older individuals experiencing this condition is emotional withdrawal. A person in the final stages may lose interest in social relationships altogether. You may notice that they speak less, participate less in activities, or sit in silence for long stretches of time. This isn't because they no longer care about their loved ones. It's because their mind, overwhelmed by difficulty, can no longer process feelings and social connections the way it once did. Conversations become tiring, noisy environments cause distress, and, over time, many elderly individuals naturally retreat into their own inner world. In addition, you may notice unexpected changes in temperament and attitude. Some individuals may become more tense, anxious, or irritable, while others may appear unusually lethargic, apathetic, or completely indifferent to things that were once important to them. This isn't a true change in character. Rather, it's a reflection of the mind's attempt to adapt to the deterioration of the body, an imbalance in the connection between mind and body, which are usually one whole. As mental functions slow down, it becomes harder to express emotions, and the person may stop responding to events the way they once did. This process can be particularly painful for those who are close to them. Watching a loved one lose touch with reality or emotionally withdraw can feel like losing them spiritually before you lose them physically. However, it's important to remember that this is not something they can control. Instead of trying to engage your loved one in the same conversations as before, the most valuable approach is to meet them where they are in their current state, using a soft tone of voice, offering reassurance, and always remembering that they can feel your presence even if they don't respond, are essential. When you notice that your loved one has become more forgetful, mentally unclear, or less curious, never ignore these signs. The symptoms we've discussed are often the first indications that both the body and soul are preparing for their final days. This is a time to show immense strength and fortitude, a time to embrace the value of silence and create a safe, familiar, and calm environment. For even when words fade away, love and peace can still be felt. Let us continue with the topic. Fourth point, frequent infections and a slow recovery process. One of the most noticeable physical signs when the body begins to shut down is the weakening of the elderly person's immune system. You may notice that someone who was rarely ill in the past now catches every cold, flu virus, or even minor infections from their environment. Simple ailments that they used to recover from easily now take much longer to heal. Even minor injuries, such as a small cut or scrape, heal in a much slower, more painful manner. None of these changes are random. They are clear signs that the body is no longer able to protect and repair itself as it once did. One of the biggest concerns is the frequent recurrence of microbial conditions. Pneumonia, kidney infections, skin inflammation, and even oral infections become more common as the body's defense system weakens and becomes less effective. Many families may not realize this and view these as separate illnesses, but when these conditions start occurring more frequently or take longer to heal, it often signals that the body has lost its ability to fight off infections. Antibiotics that once worked quickly may now seem ineffective. The individual may need much stronger treatments, longer medication regimens, or, in some cases, multiple rounds of treatment. What was once considered a minor issue now becomes more complex. The main reason for this is that, with the slowing of blood circulation and the decline in organ function, the body can no longer respond to treatment as it did before. Another issue, often overlooked, is persistent wounds. If you notice that even minor scrapes, cuts, or bruises aren't healing properly or are reopening, this could indicate that the circulatory system is impaired. Insufficient blood circulation means that oxygen and nutrients can't reach the skin, organ tissues, and the entire body effectively, making healing much more difficult than it should be. In older individuals who are less mobile, injuries caused by bed positions or mattresses can pose a significant threat. If not carefully monitored and addressed, these injuries can lead to risky, infected wounds. What's even more concerning is that microbial infections in the final year of life may not appear as we'd expect and may not be immediately noticeable. Instead of a high fever, an elderly person may simply appear more fatigued, mentally confused, or less interested in eating. In fact, a sudden decline in mental alertness can often be the first warning sign of a spreading infection, even before other symptoms appear. Recognizing these signs early can greatly influence the extent to which the individual experiences peace and support in their final stages of life. For those close to them, watching a loved one repeatedly contract microbial infections can be both worrying and heartbreaking. It might seem logical to resort to harsh treatment methods, hoping that a cycle of antibiotics or a hospital visit will fix the situation. However, at a certain point, the focus often shifts from curing the elderly individual to providing comfort. Most importantly, practices like maintaining fluid balance, keeping the skin clean and moisturized, and minimizing physical strain can offer far more benefits than a medication regimen that may only prolong suffering. If you continue to follow this content and find this information valuable, please don't hesitate to share in the comments whether you or your loved ones have gone through something similar. If you see others who have faced similar situations, remember, they may be feeling the same emotions as you, or they may find comfort in the memories you share. And by subscribing to the channel, you'll be more likely to connect with others who understand your experience. Wishing you more time with your loved ones. Fifth point, serious changes in breathing or blood circulation. One of the most obvious signs that the bee is preparing for its final stage is a noticeable change in breathing rhythm and blood flow. You may observe that your loved one is breathing more heavily or shallowly than before. They may pause in their breathing from time to time, or their breathing may become completely irregular, suddenly speeding up and then slowing down abruptly. Some elderly individuals may exhibit a breathing pattern known as Cheney-Stokes respiration. This involves deep, rapid breaths, followed by long pauses, alternating with softer, more rhythmic breathing. While these changes may be subtle at first, they often become more pronounced and consistent as the process progresses. Another common sign is weakened blood flow. When you touch their hands, feet, or even their nose and ears, they may feel cold to the touch. The skin on their hands, especially the fingertips and toes, may appear pale, bluish, or blotchy. This indicates that the body is prioritizing blood flow to vital organs, limiting circulation to the extremities. This is the clearest evidence that the heart is no longer functioning as strongly or smoothly as it once did. Some older individuals may experience shortness of breath even with minimal activity. Simple movements like sitting, talking, or changing positions can leave them feeling breathless. You might notice that they breathe more frequently through their mouths or need to pause suddenly to catch their breath while speaking. If someone who used to walk around comfortably now struggles to do so, it may be a sign that their lung capacity has significantly decreased. In some cases, dangerous conditions such as fluid buildup in the lungs can make breathing even more difficult. This can lead to persistent coughing, hoarseness, or a feeling of pressure in the chest. Many elderly individuals may believe this is simply congestion from a cold, but for those nearing the end of life, This is a clear sign that their lungs have become significantly weakened. This condition can also make lying down uncomfortable. For some, sleeping with pillows for support or leaning against a chair might be more suitable than lying flat. Watching these transformations can be truly frightening for family members. Above all, it's natural to want to help, to encourage them to breathe more deeply, or to act on the feeling that something urgent is happening. But in most cases, these changes are simply part of the body's natural slowing down. While it may not always be possible to reverse these changes, it's important to remember that there are ways to make them more comfortable. Cooling the room, using a humidifier, or offering small sips of liquid can generally reduce discomfort. In some cases, medications or oxygen support may provide relief. However, the main focus now should be on comfort, rather than trying to solve the breathing issue. If you notice changes in breathing patterns, coolness in the hands and feet, or a bluish tint to the skin, be especially vigilant. These are often the clearest signs that the body is entering a state of energy conservation, with blood flow slowing down. This may be your last chance to be with them, to offer reassurance, and to create a calm, peaceful atmosphere during their final months or weeks. The most valuable thing you can offer in these final months is not medical intervention, but spiritual support, things like peace, dignity, and the reassurance that they are not alone. Final thoughts. As we near the end of this content, let's briefly review the most important topics we've discussed: significant weight loss, extreme fatigue, mental decline, recurrent infections, major changes in breathing and circulation. These 5 symptoms almost always manifest either partially or openly as an elderly person approaches the final stage of life. Not all of these conditions may appear at the same time, and recognizing them early can be difficult. However, once these signs start to show, they clearly indicate that the body is preparing for its final transformation. For many families, accepting these changes and the challenges they bring can be hard. It's a natural response to want to take immediate action, such as encouraging loved ones to eat more, do more activities, or fight fatigue. But sometimes, the most appropriate thing we can do is listen carefully to what the body is telling us. Rather than resisting the inevitable, we can focus all our energy on making the remaining time as calm, comfortable, and meaningful as possible. Understanding these signs and acting accordingly is not about fearing death. It's about being prepared to face the reality that life will eventually come to an end. When you notice these changes early, you can provide more thoughtful and effective care, make crucial decisions in advance, and fill your loved one's final months with as much love and respect as you can. Everything you have done or will do in this time is an opportunity to appreciate the moments you've shared, to reminisce, and to remind them that they are still deeply loved. They are still very valuable and not alone. If you notice any of these signs in someone around you, take a deep breath, think carefully, and remember that you are never alone on this journey. You are now equipped with the awareness and knowledge of what needs to be done. We want you to know that we're sharing this information with you because we truly care, and we're honored to offer this support. Before we close, we encourage you to share in the comments which of these situations you've experienced and how you responded. You can connect with others who have been through similar experiences and exchange insights, or follow us and ring the bell to stay updated on similar content.